Delivering clear, concise, and entertaining content on demand, this is SharperTalkMedia.com. Join the community. Welcome to Higher Up, the podcast designed to help you take your business to a higher level.
Get the latest news and updates on everything human resources.
Unlock the occupational DNA so you can identify, select, develop, and retain top talent.
And now, your host, John Beck.
Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Higher Up, the podcast devoted to everything human resources and taking your organization to another level. Via Skype, we have a great guest, and if your organization is into giving, this is a must listen. This podcast is for you. He's Director of Marketing for Blackbaud Corporation and Foundations Division, bringing nearly 2 decades of leadership experience spanning the private and nonprofit sectors. He oversees the strategy to communicate Blackbaud's brand promise to grant-making organizations and corporations, drive market leadership, and establish strategic partnerships that lift the philanthropic sector. He also hosts Champions for Social Good podcasts. Prior to joining Blackbaud, he developed and led transformational marketing and communication in both the B2B and B2C technology industry, including financial services, network security, CRM, and HR and recruiting. He was instrumental in building the Vontage brand, growing the customer base from 10,000 to 2.5 million, while helping the company through its IPO. He also helped centralize all communication and branding at SunGard in order to reposition the company for its IPO acquisition. My friends, welcome Jamie Serino to the show.
Thanks, John. It's great to be here.
Hey, man, we love having you here, and we're excited about the topic, corporate social responsibility. What a great topic, and how timely it is for organizations.
Yeah, indeed. I think we're at a time where human behavior is shifting to be more values-driven, and we're seeing that reflected in consumer behavior, in employee behavior,
Right.
and even in stock price movement. And I think that it's a time when we can leverage that and leverage our passion for wanting to do good.
When we talk about engaging employees in volunteering and giving, tell us a little bit about Blackbaud Corporation. What is it and what do you guys do?
Yeah, Blackbaud is a cloud technology provider, and we serve the entire philanthropic community, or the entire social good community. This includes nonprofits and nonprofits of all sizes, but names you may be familiar with are Doctors Without Borders, Salvation Army, and Habitat for Humanity. We also serve educational institutions and healthcare institutions, and we help a lot of those organizations with fundraising and marketing, donor management, analytics. And then the division I work for serves corporations and foundations. On the foundation side, we help them with their grant making and funding nonprofits, and we help foundations of all sizes, but some names you may be familiar with are the Heinz Foundation,
Yes.
the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, the Duke Endowment, McCormick, Michael J. Fox, American Diabetes Association. And then on the corporation side, we also work with corporate foundations, and we work with corporations for corporate giving. And then the piece that your audience, I think, would be most interested in is elements of CSR, or corporate social responsibility, which include employee engagement, employee volunteerism. Our head of community engagement uses our technology to keep all of his employees on the same page. And he actually has a 100% employee engagement rate, which is really unheard of. So
Right.
so each year, 100% of his employees are volunteering in some capacity and participating in their CSR programs. And so using the technology, he's able to allow them to have more participation. It allows them to opt into the events that they want to do. It allows them to see what their choices are. It allows him to sort of publish events and make those available to his employees. And then it allows him to track who's volunteering and how many hours and where are people volunteering, what organizations is he partnering with out there in the community. And it also helps him with his CRA, or Community Reinvestment Act, reporting. So the tool has a module that helps to track those efforts. So then when he needs to report that back to regulators, able to have all of that in one place. So even so, most of his employees are present, at the headquarters there, and so
Right.
even an organization like that still could benefit from having something that allows a CSR person or an HR person to sort of sit at the helm and deploy this effort to their employees. And the other thing it allows for is a sort of two-way street of feedback, because when it comes to employee volunteering, you do want to have a strategy and something that aligns to what you think the purpose of your company is and how you think you can help the most. But you
Right.
also want to tap into the passions of your employees and what are some of the things that they like, and maybe they're already involved with a nonprofit organization and they want to bring them into the fold, or maybe they feel passionately about the environment or about animal welfare or something like that. How can you tap into that and make them feel that they're included in the program as well? And so having something, a tool like that allows for this back and forth, flow of information and communication, I think is key, no matter what size the company is.
Right. And what are the type of methods, and what are organizations doing today to really engage the employee in the giving and the volunteering aspect? I mean, what type of incentives, or what do you see organizations trending and doing in that area?
Yeah, so some real sort of black and white incentives could be for volunteering. If you volunteer a certain amount of time, then maybe you get a certain amount of time off. And so it's, there's a sort of hard incentive there to volunteer. Other organizations might run contests or provide other sort of prizes or incentives to participate. On the giving side, company matches are good incentives. So if I donate a few $100s and to my cause of choice, and I know my company's going to match it, that's an incentive for me. And then also just even being recognized by my company for the efforts that I have
Right.
can also be an incentive. Then, as I said, I find that our customers communicate back to us that a lot of times these incentives are important. Then in addition to that, it really is tapping into the passions that the employees already have. And in the end, many people do want to volunteer and they do want to give. And either they need a nudge or they need a little bit of guidance or a little bit of a framework within which to do this. And when you can tap into that, then it becomes a little bit of like a virtuous circle there, and it just perpetuates. And then you can further tap into those energies and those efforts and those passions.
As organizations engage in corporate social programs and giving back and volunteering, the byproduct is organizations get the perception of doing that, what you call social good. And how far does that go for a company?
Yeah, well, yeah. So there are a lot of studies out there. The Cone Communications CSR study is one to certainly take a look at. And so of course people want to do good and they want to help, and more we're seeing that this is expressed by a lot of times people credit millennials, with having this notion, but we think it's sort of, if maybe they were the ones that caused the spark, we think it's sort of then permeated, all generations, and it's sort of a part of what a lot of people are sort of asking for. And so there are a few ways to look at this. So this, the Cone Communication study will tell us that around 80% of U.S. consumers expect businesses to continue improving their CSR effort.
Right.
87% of U.S. consumers say they would buy from a company based on shared values, and 76% would refuse to purchase a product if they found the company supported an issue contrary to their belief system.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's really, really powerful stuff on the consumer side. And then on the HR side, in terms of hiring and hiring the best talent, we're seeing more and more studies show that millennials and again even people of other generations they will base a lot of their decisions on where they're going to work based on what does that company stand for, and do I also believe in that?
Right.
And so that's why it's important for, for the HR departments, I think, to connect with marketing or PR, the social media departments, to all be on the same page, because it can be a part of the recruitment marketing to
Right.
include these points that that this is what this company does and this is what we stand for. And so I think we're in a time where I think human behavior has shifted a little bit to become a little bit more, values driven. And so there are a lot of studies out there that show that this is reflected in consumer behavior, as I just said, in
Yeah.
who am I going to buy from, who am I going to do business with, and it's also reflected in employment.
Yeah. And who am I going to work for,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, when you have a company that's out there doing good work and you see that, and, human nature is, hey, I want to be part of that good stuff, that good work.
Exactly.
I don't know if you know this, Jamie, but I'm based in Louisiana. I see that you have an example that you can kind of tell us a little bit about in relation to some of this type of work that occurred during the Hurricane Katrina disaster. You have an example of something along those lines?
Well, we certainly see a lot of customers moving very quickly to act on disaster, and that's really where a lot of companies shine, I think, when it comes to being able to contribute. And so what ends up happening is, a CSR department or HR or whomever is responsible for organizing these efforts, a disaster happens, and immediately that is something that people feel very strongly about. I want to help those people. And so again, using a tool where you can quickly reach all of your employees and quickly set something up to say, hey, we set up a fund, or we partnered with this organization. Maybe it is, the Red Cross, or maybe it is a local disaster relief organization, or maybe it's an organization that can provide food or clothing or temporary shelter. And if you donate, we'll match, and so that sort of thing needs to be rolled out very, very quickly for a few reasons. One is that we're now in a time where philanthropy is, a lot of people using the term, it's democratized now, and technology kind of allows for this. So, within hours of a disaster happening, very quickly, I could probably find on my phone ways to contribute and to help.
Right.
So if a company wants to step in and use the sort of power of its people and also of its financial resources, it would need to move very quickly if they want to sort of set that up and be of assistance, and also be viewed as an organization that will help, viewed in that way by their employees, viewed in that way by consumers. And so the speed at which you would need to react and set something like that up is very, very important. Technology
you're talking about plays that type of role?
Yeah. So again, if you're able to sit sort of like at the helm of an effort or of a function, and have this technology platform, then you would be able to set that up very quickly and get that company match out there and get that announcement out there and start having your employees donate through that channel. And it would really be answering a call there, because we see disaster relief and reaction to disasters as being something that's very, very emotional for people, because you're here, and this maybe it happened in your community, or maybe it happened across, halfway around the world, but you just still feel strongly connected. I really want to help those people.
Right.
And so there are many, many ways to do that. And a company can, again, use the power of its people and of its financial resources to set that up and allow that channel to open up for them.
Jamie, what about, do you find in your experience that a lot of organizations have a disaster relief program in place where, and I know we're talking about having a technology piece, but also having certain processes or certain program in place that if we are the type of organization that is able to give that type of relief, that they have these programs in place ready to go?
Yeah, well, I think that, the more experienced CSR people will, have something in place where they could react quickly and deploy something very, very quickly. And even we're finding even foundations are beginning to set up funds that can be more quickly deployed. And certain crises that we've had this year and in recent years have taught us that you really do need to move quickly if you want to help and be of service. And so the ability to move quickly is just always the most desired state to be in. And so some companies may have indeed set up funds or a group of, maybe large companies may set up a group that's what they do, and then they react to those. And some companies might have set up situations where they'll facilitate actual volunteering if you want to go and help, if you want to travel to that spot where that disaster happened, or especially if it happened in your community. And then other companies, it will be more like financial. And so how quickly can they set up that portal through which you can donate or that company match?
Let's take it from ground zero. So here we are, mid-sized company. Let's say we have a couple hundred employees, or maybe a little larger, somewhere in that range, and we really don't have a program in place. Is that something that you and your team, is that something that, if we were to make contact or reach out to you and your organization, is that something that you guys would help facilitate, or putting that type of technology and program in place? Or where does an organization turn? Where do they start if they're looking to really try to get their employees engaged and take their corporate giving or responsibility, social responsibility, to a higher level?
Yeah, they could certainly start with us. We're technology providers, but we're also experts in this field. And so starting with us would be a great point. And in setting up the technology, we could also speak with you about setting up your whole program.
Right.
And we have done this with certain customers and sort of ramp people up and have a kind of crawl, walk, run kind of a approach to setting up the right kind of program. And a customer that I always think about who is an expert in the field is Roger Hancock of CSAA Insurance or AAA. And he set up his own program. He's been doing this for 20-something years. And then he turned to us for the technology. And one of the things he said is that we're past the days of doing all this on spreadsheets.
Right.
Those days are gone. You can't keep track of all this. And he's running a program that goes across, I think, 26 states, and he has a 98% employee engagement rate.
Wow, that's huge.
Phenomenal for being spread out like that.
Yeah.
And he had a 5-year plan, and so, and it came from the C-suite. He explained to us, and he worked with them, and they set up goals for each year. And they met and surpassed their goals and now have a world-class program. And so we do help. Now, that's someone who did it on his own, and then he brought us in as the technology vendor.
Right.
But we do help, if companies are starting from scratch, it can seem overwhelming. And it can feel like, oh, my God, I feel like I'm so behind. And we're now in a time where, as I was just saying earlier, it's just expected of your employees. It's expected of the market. It's expected from consumers, and companies that don't have it in place may feel, wow, I'm overwhelmed, I'm behind the ball. But a place to start could be with a company like us, with the technology vendor. So we set that up, and then we can help develop the entire program.
Right. And as we're talking about this great topic, and at the end of the day, what it does is it helps people. Let's talk a little bit more about the technology aspect. I know we've been talking about it in general, but I'd like to get a little bit more specific, kind of get down in the weeds a little bit. Just explain to me a little more about when we talk about technology of making this type of program successful and engaging the employee. And I understand certain aspects of, what's going to be our program, or what are we going to work towards, or volunteer, or give, or that's all part of it. But when we talk technology, what are some of the benefits, the functionality, what's happening with that technology that's the driver? I mean, what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, that's a good question. So from the person who's rolling out the CSR program, which many times it is HR.
Hmm.
So as I was saying before, they'll sort of be like at the helm of this, and they'll have a dashboard,
Right.
and they will be able to see all of the volunteering that's happening all
So
around the
employees
company.
can log
And
their
so,
volunteering on their end, and then yeah, that's
right.
what I'm looking for. I want to know. I love technology,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
let's give a visual of what to our audience, a
Okay.
visual of what this program actually looks like, so maybe they can envision it and see if it's right for them.
Yeah, sounds good. So for the employee, each employee gets their own little portal, little page,
Right.
and we also have an app, so you can download it right on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can use, we can use me as an example. I recently, so the office that I work in for my company is based in New York City, and someone in my office organized a volunteer effort to run lunch service um, for this one organization. And so the volunteer effort was, arrive at 11 a.m. and the lunch service starts at 11:30 and it finishes at 3:30 and you leave at 4. And
Right.
so it's this 5-hour block of time. And so I learned about it because on my app, like an alert came up that, oh, this is in my area. I can volunteer for this. And so I logged in and I said, I'm going to do this.
So
So
that came across as like an approved corporate volunteer opportunity.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
right. And so so then I signed up for it. And then I could see who else signed up for it in my office. And so then on the day of the event, I show up. It sends me reminders that it's happening. And the day of the event, I go, and I could take photos, and I could upload the photos into the app, and it'll display right there in the app. And then it tracks the fact that I did that right away because I had signed up, and then I clicked on, and I went. And then all that information then gets captured for me personally in my specific personal page or app. And then it all then gets fed to the head of our CSR group who watches that event and hundreds of events like that. So then for me, as I get to now we're in August, I can look back on 7 or 8 months of all the volunteering that I did. And so some of those things are company led and approved and sort of pushed out through the app. And there are some things that I do on my own, and I enter them on my own, and it's
Okay.
just there in the system,
Right.
and it captures all that information. And again, and we have a sort of volunteer for vacation program. So now I think I'm up to like a day and a half of volunteer for vacation time that I'm allowed to take,
Right.
and it's because of all that tracking. And then I just get to see. It's nice to see all of my efforts.
Yeah.
And then the person that's at the dashboard, the head of the CSR function, she's seeing all these efforts. So, several thousand people like me, all of their efforts from the volunteering standpoint, all of that can get put into a report. You can play around with the data.
Yeah.
So then she could begin to look at. So the group that I volunteered with so most of my volunteering is health related, like
Mm-hmm.
it's at hospitals or it's at organizations that provide some sort of, health related, help to people. And so other people like me all get grouped into maybe health related causes. Then maybe there are a bunch of people that are helping for like, maybe oceans
Mm-hmm.
conservation or animal welfare or equality. And she can see all of that and then begin to say, well, uh, what's happening here across my whole employee base, and where are we more apt to be helping out here, and then she can feed more of that into the system.
Yeah, you could
So
start really looking at the analytics of that data and then aligning the organizational goals with what is happening on the front line with
exactly.
the employee.
Exactly. So one of the great things our customers say to us is that it allows them to really listen more. So
Mm-hmm.
of course, a lot of people are just contacting our CSR person directly, like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. I feel passionately about this. I feel passionate about that. But for every one or two people that contact her, there are probably 2 or 3 dozen people that aren't contacting her, but they're communicating with her through their actions, and she's seeing all that, and then she's able to alter her program based on that. Because the other thing about it is that it's tough to keep getting people engaged in volunteering, and the experts out there that do that talk about creating transformational experiences and leading with people's passions and allowing people to bring to the table what they want to do. And it's tough with even a small company. It's tough, even if it's like a few hundred people,
Right.
to be gathering all that information. But if you have something like this, it just happens naturally through the efforts, and then you can again, to create the virtuous circle, you can feed into those efforts so that people want to end up volunteering more and more and more. So that's all on the volunteering side with the app and with the program. And then on the giving side, it's very, very similar. So there might be, whenever I donate to something now, I add it into the app, and then the company matches like what it agrees to match to.
Well, and that's also good for your own personal tax purposes as well as an
Exactly.
employee.
Exactly. So it's all there for me, tax time, if I want
Right.
to go and share that with my accountant. I just hit a button and it all just comes out. And then again, for the CSR person to run a report based on where are my employees donating to.
Right.
And then bringing it back to the example of the bank, for CRA, Community Reinvestment Act, it's very difficult without technology like this to go and find out what's going on all around the company. And does it adhere to the CRA, and and what do I share with the regulator? So here instead, it's all already captured, and you just need to run a report, and then sift through the report, and then that can be shared with the regulator. So that's just another example.
I would imagine a lot of organizations are still doing spreadsheet tracking and whatnot for these types of programs. What percentage are a lot of organizations moving toward this type of technology? Do you see? I know statistics may be hard to say, but what are you guys seeing? A lot of organizations are really trying to get out front with this type of technology.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more corporations expressing interest in this. We are still seeing, though, that a lot of people don't know that this type of technology exists. So they're still sort of slaving away over the spreadsheet,
Right.
or just sort of sharing information over email or on the intranet somehow, and they don't even know that this type of thing exists. But for those that do, we're seeing more and more of an interest there. And the other key element here that we're having more and more conversations around is tying all of this into an overarching effort. So you have the volunteer program and you have the giving program, and that's vital for employee engagement as part of an employee engagement program. But then how does it tie into maybe the corporate giving that's happening? Maybe the corporation has a foundation that's writing grants. How does it tie into that? A lot of times we find when we go into a company, even if they are using technology, everything is so siloed. So that, and again, going back to, let's say, recruitment marketing, if the HR department wants to be putting out there into their job descriptions, onto their recruitment marketing page, maybe having information at recruitment events,
Right.
they may only have the information that their department produces, which may be the employee engagement stuff. And they may not have any information about maybe something that the marketing team did around cause marketing. Maybe, what millions of dollars in grants may be getting written, and they don't know about that.
Right.
And then the corporate giving program may also be robust and quite generous, and none of that is being shared. And that's a lot of what we're finding. So then what happens is, when we get brought in, so sometimes we get brought in to solve the volunteering problem or the giving and employee engagement issue. But then more times and more often, and this is happening, I think, more frequently now, is that we get brought in, help us connect the dots.
Right.
And so we have software for grant making, for corporate giving. We have software for the back end financial piece of it. We have analytics. We have outcomes tracking software, which means that you write a grant, and it's nice to say, all right, we wrote a $50,000 grant that's going towards homelessness, but then our software helps to actually track what happens with that grant.
Yeah.
Who did it help? What impact did it have in the world?
Nice.
And then so a sort of like 360-degree reporting then allows you to see the complete overarching view of this company's giving. So the complete aligning your profit and purpose and finding the sort of greater purpose of your organization. And those are more of the conversations that we're having.
Sure.
And that's really where I think the power is there in really helping the entire organization stay connected and have all of that giving find its way into the personality of the brand.
Well, I can tell you, the whole technology piece is new for me. I'm familiar with corporate giving programs, volunteer programs, and have participated on both ends. But driving it through technology and then really being able to look at, and I don't want to use the word ROI, but looking at that return of what your organization is doing, being able to look at it organizationally and bringing it all together. So, Jamie, if an organization would like to reach out to you guys, and of course on the HR Higher Up website, we will have our section there dedicated to Jamie and this particular podcast with all of his contact information. But just real quick, website, or how can give us a little plug on how can an organization connect with you guys?
Yeah, sure. So right now they can go to blackbaud.com and see the complete view of everything that Blackbaud provides.
And that's BLACKBAUD.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
That's right.
All right.
And there you'll see the complete spectrum of everything that Blackbaud provides. And if you then also want to, so then you could find MicroEdge on that website,
right?
And that will also take you to specifically the some of the CSR, some of the employee engagement, technology.
Okay, great,
technology
great.
that we have. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, great topic, and it's for good, and I encourage our listeners to definitely, if you have a great CSR program, why not take a look at driving it by technology? Jamie, we really want to thank you for taking the time to visit with us on the Higher Up podcast as we continue to work hard to help organizations take their business to a higher level. Anything in closing?
No, I think that's it, John. It was a pleasure to be here, and as you were saying, there is a sort of ROI here, and I think that mostly people act from their passions, and they want to do good, and sometimes, and then they want to leverage the power of their company, the people and the financial resources to do that. And in addition to having that passion to do that, there is, as you're saying, an ROI, and we're clearly seeing that with consumer behavior, employee behavior, and even stock price. So it ends up being the proverbial kind of win-win-win situation.
Well,
so I think it's a great time right now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Jamie Serino. We really appreciate you being here on Higher Up. And for those interested, again, you can find his information on our website, www.hrhigherup.com. Thanks again, everyone. We know that when you are listening, you have a choice, and we appreciate each time you tune in to Higher Up. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Higher Up with John Beck.
For show notes, updates, and more on how to break the code to unlocking occupational DNA,
Join the community at hrhigherup.com.
and take your business to a higher level. This has been an exclusive production of SharperTalkMedia.com. Join the community.